It was the eve of the world's first successful poop scoop law. But rather than be happy about having a cleaner city, New York dog owners weren't quite sure about this social experiment. Some grew so panic-stricken they lined up by the thousands in front of Gimbel's department store and supermarkets like Red Apple, Sloan's, and Gristedes to buy patented pooper-scooper devices newly released for this momentous event. Vendors ran out of all models in a few hours, and poor souls lining the sidewalks went home empty-handed and horrified that, come the next morning, they'd be left holding the bag. Just how necessary were professionally designed pooper-scoopers? It's important to remember where people's heads were at in 1978 and how much canine culture has changed. Gadgets for removing the unspeakable tried to take what seemed an unnatural act, a task that no human being had ever been asked to perform, and make it more palatable. Public humiliation was a concern, and people were afraid that contact could be unhealthy. Picking up has since become a normal part of daily life we seldom think or talk about, but back in the 70s, the suggestion was considered radical. Pooper scoopers offered a way to step off the curb confidently and safely, a means for putting some distance, sanitary and psychological, between an awkward position and a civic duty. Dozens of devices appeared briefly, promising to make the experience less vile and a movement socially acceptable. The many gizmos, if you could get your hands on one, ranged in price from $10.98 to $20 and included anything from a cardboard box with a rubber band to a plastic divining rod with a flashlight attachment. Since Health Law 1310 was passed a year before, businesses had been expecting windfall profits. Competition was fierce for a captive market, and subjects were offered so many options that it was tempting to call the social experiment a commercial venture to sell pooper scoopers, as critics once did, putting off cleaner walkways for almost a decade. At the lower end of the spectrum, there was a Spartan pail with a long shovel to prevent back strain. Included was a pair of barbecue tongs. A more elaborate invention looked like a bicycle pump. The operator was instructed to pull a lever and suck the offending matter scientifically into a plastic bag. For big dogs, there was the super-duper pooper scooper, a set of gigantic crisscross metal jaws with a lengthy handle to keep the user at a safe distance, was the ideal solution for Great Danes. Eco Scoop, Dogmatic, Pooch Scoop, Scoop and Baggett, Scoopette, and Scoop-de-doo. Some of these contraptions were on the cutting edge of sanitation technology. One was modeled after a fruit picker. Another belonged in a Dr. Seuss book. A sleek fiberglass parabola discharged a self-cleaning flush at the curb with a touch of a pedal. Whether high-tech or pedestrian, most rigs came with hefty claims. "Your hands will never come near the litter," barked one manufacturer. "There are no embarrassing odors in the apartment elevator or in your home." Pledges filled the air like pitches for hair oil or miracle tonics. Wide-eyed audiences were assured that very briefly we will prove a method exists enabling dog walkers to clean up with dignity while at the same time containing the droppings in an airtight package without physical contact. The pooper scooper bubble burst soon enough. Gadget boom seems over, the Times declared a few months after the law went into effect. Expensive designer bags with wrist attachments like the Poshy Quick curb bag are still fashionable in a town where being seen with the right shopping bag is part of social survival. But less flashy New Yorkers have shed their fecal fears, realizing they don't need crutches to walk their dogs. Old grocery bags, newspapers, even cardboard shirt inserts from the dry cleaners work just fine. In hindsight, scooping isn't such a big deal, though desensitization didn't happen overnight. Picking up with whatever's lying around the house assumes a nonchalance toward the dirty deed, a reminder that the strangest customs can become quite normal with practice, and that we'll do just about anything for our best friends.